President Trump says previous administrations left him with a mess with North Korea that he will fix. Also, hearing denied from the parents of an American student who died shortly after being released from North Korean custody. Correspondent Rich Edson reports from the State Department.
Fred and Cindy Warmbier would finally see their son Otto returned from a North Korean prison after more than a year in captivity.
We weren't prepared for what we had. And then when we saw Otto the way he was, we loved him, we're proud of him, but no mother, no parent should ever have gone through what we went through.
Otto had a shaved head. He had a feeding tube coming out of his nose. He was staring blankly into space, jerking violently. He was blind. He was deaf.
Otto died less than a week later, on June 19th. North Korea says Warmbier's death is a mystery and claims it is the victim.
But North Korea is not a victim. They're terrorists. They kidnapped Otto. They tortured him. They intentionally injured him.
He then called on the U.S. government to list North Korea as a state sponsor of terrorism. That would immediately impose even more restrictions on North Korea.
This is something that we constantly assess. I know the Secretary has certainly looked at that, had looked at that certainly in the past when it came to Otto Warmbier. I don't know if that's something that we're looking at today.
The administration today announced additional sanctions targeting 8 North Korean banks and 26 people linked to North Korea's finance network. The president also thanked Chinese President Xi Jinping.
I applaud China's latest action to restrict its trade with North Korea. And in particular, I applaud China for breaking off all banking relationships with North Korea, something that people would have thought unthinkable even 2 months ago.
President Trump and North Korea resumed their threat exchanges. Administration officials claim the U.S. can easily overwhelm North Korean capabilities if attacked. Those say they want to avoid war.
We're going to continue to pursue our diplomatic efforts and hope that that's the way we'll solve this.
And those diplomatic efforts take Secretary Tillerson back to Beijing. The State Department announced earlier today that the secretary will be returning there, traveling out Thursday to discuss President Trump's trip to China, along with economic and diplomatic issues, and of course, North Korea. Brent?
And Rich, the Cuban foreign minister is at the State Department.
He just left, Brett. The Cuban foreign minister was here for a little more than an hour. The State Department says the Cuban government requested this meeting. The State Department also says that Secretary Tillerson has plenty of questions for the Cuban government. This, as the department says, that exactly 21 American diplomats have been harmed in what has been described as these sonic attacks down in Havana, left some with permanent hearing damage. The U.S. is investigating. Federal authorities are in Cuba investigating. And yet the United States has not blamed anyone, not blamed the Cuban government or any other government, as there are still many questions around these mysterious attacks we're still trying to figure out at this hour, Brett.
Rich Edson live at the State Department. Rich, thanks.